Hello everybody, welcome to Thought Soup. This is my third episode, and today I'm going to talk about death. Now, why is this such a difficult topic for humans? Well, partially I think it's because of a incomplete understanding and perception of life in general. So we're primates, and as primates, 90% of our information comes through the eyes. And so what comes through the eyes? Well, color, of course, but especially form. So we're very sensitive to forms of things, right? So if we look at our body, we can see the form, we can feel it, and we can feel everything else around us. So that becomes very real. Now, the problem arises when we notice through the years that form tends to break down. Our form starts to break down. The body starts having white hair, loose skin, and we start noticing all these decaying results. And so that's partially why, industries like cosmetics and surgery, facial surgery and those industries are booming, because we have such a very difficult time dealing with the form we're attached to, and we can see that it's not lasting. It's getting weaker, it's getting grayer, etc., etc. Wrinkles, like here. So the problem is that we believe that form is basically the only thing that is real. Now, we know that in the electromagnetic field, we only perceive about 1% of what is. But we're only aware of that electromagnetic field, of the complete field. We don't know what's beyond gamma rays and X-rays and so on. So maybe there's even more. And so the problem arises, I think it's more of an incomplete understanding, incomplete vision of what reality is. And so that's why we're so scared of death. It's because we think that we're the body and only the body. So that's a problem, right? Because we see the body decaying over time. We see everything decaying over time. So basically, what happens is we identify completely with the body. We think, I am the body. The body's getting older, the body's going to die, so therefore I'm going to die. So that's basically the center of the problem. Now, I don't know if anybody has ever witnessed a death or seen a dead person, but I have. When you see your parents or your uncles and aunts die, when you go there after 3 days or so in the morgue, you notice that the face is hardly the same face. I've noticed this many times. So then what does that mean? Well, something left the body, and the body is just another body. It could be like anyone, quite literally. There's a few things that are similar, but generally it's quite shocking. So since we don't understand what happens, and nobody can know actually, we start making up stories about all this. So there's this nice story about what happens after death. For some people, there's nothing. You're just dead, and that's it. For some people, there's a heaven, there's a hell. For some people, there might be reincarnation. And so it's not easy to deal with. And so since we're identified, we go into a panic mode. Now, there's no cure for this, obviously, but maybe we can observe a few things. Now, number one is when we look at the body, scientifically today, we know that this is not just a body. This is not just one unit. This is comprised of billions of life forms just in our gut, microbiome, but everywhere on our skin. Millions, billions of life forms that cooperate together to maintain the whole. So even when we say this is my body, this is a unit, this is an individual body separate from anything else, we know this is actually not true. So we're way more than what we actually think we are, just physically. So that's one aspect that can orientate us towards understanding that we understand very little, and then our fixation on this physical form may be limited. There might be more. Now, if we look at the endless stories across all cultures in the whole world of people remembering their past lives and being able to actually say things, describe things from their past life that nobody could ever know. They can describe the roof, they can describe the house generally, they can describe some clothes they had, very, very specific things. And there's countless stories like this, so that could lead us to think or consider that there is a past life and maybe a future life, so there could be reincarnation. So then again, our concept of this is just my body, and when the body dies, then that's it. Maybe there is more. Death is the great equalizer. Kings and queens and any type of powerful people, emperors, rich people, poor people, janitors, waiters, lawyers, everybody dies. Everyone, without exception. We're trying hard to avoid that, but that's the actual reality. So if we start observing this possibility of many things, reincarnation, our body is made up of different things, our own experience about death, perhaps we can expand our view of what life is. A good friend of mine, she said a few years back, life is not the opposite of death, and death is not the opposite of life. Birth is the opposite of death, and birth and death happen together within life. And I thought that was very clever, because it's actually correct. That's how it is. So we have a very reduced view of everything, the universe in general, and based on that very reduced view, we draw conclusions that could be wrong or incomplete. So why is it important to think about our own death? Really think about our own death. Really be aware that this body is going to not function one day and therefore result in death. Why is that important? Because when we do take a real look at this reality, not just shove it back and keep it as something that kind of scares us unconsciously, but really bring it to the forefront of our consciousness, of our awareness, then all of a sudden we become aware that we're going to die, that nothing lasts, but we start looking around and everything starts to look better, taste better. Everything is more vivid. Life becomes something we can really enjoy. Really, really, really enjoy fully. As the Romans said, carpe diem, seize the day. The old one were wise. So this is my proposal, this is my suggestion. Think about your own death. Examine your own death. Aside from how I'm going to die, whether it's horrible or not, or whatever drama there may be. But the actual death, think of that. Think of how finite your time is on this planet. And if you do it properly, this will make your life much, much, much richer, much better, much happier. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is useful on some level. And I'll see you next week. Next week, I'll be talking about, what am I going to be talking about? I don't remember. Let me check my notes here. I have my notes because I can never remember what I'm going to talk about next week. So let me check. Yes, I wrote it down, luckily. Next week, I'll be talking about thoughts and where do they come from and how thoughts influence our whole life. Okay, hope you enjoy this. See you later. Ciao.